Welcome to the 43rd SCCA Runoffs. Last year from Mid-Ohio, the first time in years, John Heinrichsey hadn't led every lap of T1. On board with Cindy Lux, you see Chris Engel, John Heinrichsey exchange some paint. After moving up to second, Heinrichsey pounces when Scotty White misses a shift and reclaims the top spot. Then CJ Johnson and Mike McGinley, they have a spirited battle of their own. McGinley gets the worst of it. Johnson comes out the benefactor. In the closing laps, though, Cindy Lux hits Nathan Waldbaum. They have the scariest moment of the event. Waldbaum off into Jeffrey Hinchcliffe's disabled car. Everyone ends up okay, but a scary moment. In the end, John Heinrichsey takes the win after a great Viper versus Corvette battle. His crew shouts 5, his 5th straight T1 championship.
Great, it's awesome.
Touring 1 is one of the big iron classes in the SCCA, a class where marques such as Corvette, Viper, and Ferrari come to exert their dominance. But no driver has been more dominant in recent past than John Heinrichsey. 5 consecutive T1 championships in a row. Dominate? Yeah, he knows how to do it. The question is, can he do it here in Topeka? Phil Croyle also behind the wheel of a Corvette. He knows how to win. 4 national victories so far this season. He's also been on the podium at the runoffs. He certainly has the speed and the experience. And the first lady of T1, Cindy Lux, will be gunning for her first national championship. She won the Northern Pacific Division with 7 wins, also won the June Sprints. She's looking for the Triple Crown. But the question is, will the extra weight that this Viper carries be its Achilles heel? For more on T1, let's check in with Dorsey Schrader.
Well, Brian, Cindy Lux has got a teammate, and it's none other than part-time pro racer Scotty B. White. Now, Scotty and his Viper, as you recall, was on the pole for last year's runoffs. Of course, that was at Mid-Ohio, though. But nonetheless, 5 wins so far for this Viper. You can't count him out. Now, Ed Zabinski has brought in a brand new Ferrari 360 Challenge car. It's new to the T1 class and not a lot known about the speed. What I can tell you about it is this. He came here in the spring, won the race here, and was disqualified for an illegal roll cage. That, of course, has been rectified, and he has won 2 more races since then. This Ferrari is going to be a potent car. Now, Andrew Aquilante has got a very impressive record, another Dodge Viper. He comes in here, Northeast Division champion, and has won 6 out of the 8 races. If you're talking big bore horsepower, a lot of muscle, well, folks, stay tuned. This is it.
43rd running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka. The battle for supremacy in Touring 1. And for all the action, let's head straight down to pit lane, and we'll get down to Mike Johnson.
Well, these cars are just about to roll off the grid. Right now, you're looking at Jim Lynch's beautiful Dodge Viper right here. He actually out-qualified John Heinrichsey in 7th place. Now, he started the year in a Cadillac in T2, and then he decided, you know what, that Cadillac doesn't have enough power for me. Stepped up to T1, hasn't been in a car in 15 years, and now he's in first. Now to 1 spot up the grid with John Bizignano.
You know, when you used to think of T1, you always thought of Corvettes as being really the only chassis that was competitive, but those days are over. The first Corvette in this race qualified in 6th position. I asked the drivers of the Corvettes, where are their problems? And they said, brakes, power, and torque. There are 4 Vipers in front of the Corvette and 1 Ferrari. They think that they have a terrific advantage over the Chevrolets. Next year in 07, the Corvette drivers are going to be looking for some rule changes to help them get back up front.
Well, you need those brakes and you need the power around this Heartland Park circuit. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Till, along with Dorsey Schrader. Mike Johnson, John Bizignano, you've already heard from them. They are down in pit lane. They'll bring you all the stories from down there, and there should be plenty of them today. The first time the runoffs have been to Heartland Park. Dorsey, what do these drivers face?
2.5 miles, Brian. 14 turns into brand new front straightaway. Gone is the drag strip, and there's a narrowing part right here you got to watch out for. Good passing zones in turn 6. Again in turn 8. A lot of muscle down this front straightaway. It's 1,700 feet long.
At 1,700 feet, you can use that horsepower that is in Touring 1. Talk us through the class.
This is a great high horsepower track. You see high performance street cars. Now there are changes allowed to the tires and suspension, so these cars are souped up from a street car, but they're very quick, and we're going to see a great race. Now the sun's setting down. It's 5:18. Racetrack's the dirtiest it's been all day because they've run 7 races today.
And it should be a great battle. We said the battle for supremacy in Touring 1. It'll be coming right your way. Right after we take a quick break, the green flag will wave, and we will see these high horsepower sports cars do battle around Heartland Park. Make sure you join us. Stick with us. The 2006 SCCA Runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, touring one up on the slate next, and it is going to be a good one. High horsepower cars make such as Viper, Corvette, Ferrari. It should be a great battle today, Dorsey. Only one national champion in the field. That's John Heinrichsey, but he's got 9 national championships to his credit. Scotty B. White, he certainly has the speed. So does Zabinski in the Ferrari.
And you see Heinrichsey all the way down in 8th place after qualifying. This is the furthest back he's been in a great while.
6 division champions in the field today, and we've got a couple of Ferraris in the field as well. We talked about Zabinski's Ferrari. We also have another one in the hands of Scott Tucker in the 05, so it should be a very good field indeed. Lots of horsepower out there to be thundering around this 2+ miles of Heartland Park Raceway.
And the sun is setting. It's going to be a visibility problem with these guys. We have 3 in-cars to take looks from, and that's going to be fun.
Should be some great shots for you as well. You talked about 3 in-cars. It's a very twisty racetrack here, Heartland Park. The 05 of Scott Tucker on board with him and his Ferrari. We'll bring you some shots from there. See him circulating around behind the pace car along with everybody else. Also the 50 Mike McGinley in his Corvette. He'll be starting 12th.
And then up in the front of the field, you're going to see Ed Zabinski's Ferrari. He's qualified 2nd. He'll be outside the front row with that very potent 360 challenge car.
We've already talked about how strong that car is. For more stories from pit lane, let's get down to biz. John, what have you got, bud?
Well, any driver will tell you that time on the track is a real advantage. In this particular class, we have 5 drivers that are running multiple cars this long weekend. And as track conditions change, it's going to get cooler during the race. That time on the track will definitely be an advantage. For more on another story, here's Mike Johnson.
Well, keep an eye on car 44, Mike Solly. Mike actually started the year in the Grand Am Series in a Porsche, and I helped him run that car. Then he said, you know what, I want to take this car and run it in World Challenge. So the team converted it over to World Challenge specs. Then he decided he wanted to drive some Grand Am Cup races, did that at the end of the year. He tried to bring that Porsche into this class, but it didn't really fit the rules, so now he's in a Corvette, and he qualified 15th.
So Mike Solly basically can't make up his mind. All he knows is he wants to go racing.
Busy guy, though, nonetheless.
He's got his Corvette back in the 15th spot, so we'll have to keep an eye on him. He's used to having the engine in the other end if he's been racing those Porsches.
Brian, the sun's starting to go down. It's been very cold here at Topeka. When these cars came here, it was 90 degrees. It was as low as 27 degrees the other morning. Sun setting down. It's going to drop off temperature, and the track is going to get very slippery.
But that's at least better than going the other direction, starting when it's cold and you can't get temperature in the tires. These guys can get everything warmed up, then they can let things cool down a little bit. So I think I'd rather have it this way than the other, except for the fact that setting sun may make visibility a bit difficult.
Listen to the thunder, Brian. They're going to turn on the straightaway, and you're going to hear a lot of horsepower thundering down that front stretch.
That Ferrari is going to be screaming indeed. Let's listen. Down into turn 1, a great jump by Scotty B. White off the pole. He holds on to it, but that Ferrari right there with him, Dorsey, and you'd think the torque of that Viper would have pulled him, but they were side by side.
Somebody's dropped the wheel in the dirt. That makes things all the worse. Turn 1 and 2 are wider than they used to be.
And they're getting wider still.
Aquilante off the outside of that turn 2 exit.
Scotty B. White holds on to the point as they stream into turn 3. Check this out, on board the 50 right now, Mike McGinley in heavy traffic.
Tires not up to temperature or pressures yet, so it's going to be a little dicey.
Aquilante right there in front in his Corvette. Now back up front, you saw Scotty B. White disappear from the view, and Zabinski, that is 1-2, but check this battle out further back.
Scotty B. White's got a big lead because all that swapping around that happened down that exit of turn 2.
A little further back, on board Scott Tucker in his Ferrari. You see somebody off to the outside.
One of the Porsches went wide, no problem. It's no problem.
I think we've had as many wheels off the pavement as we've had on it in this first half a lap.
Well, I talked about the racetrack being the dirty, so it's not the corner workers' fault. We run these races back to back to back. There's no time to clean up all the debris, and this is the last one of the day.
Sun beginning to set as the car streamed down the back straightaway out of the bus stop towards turn 10. A very fast section here. Mike McGinley, you ride on board. Good battles all throughout. Ooh, side by side through 10. Difficult to do. You saw the 40. David Pinterick works his way through, tries to get past, can't get it done over Mike Pettiford.
this is the tightest section of the entire racetrack. This is where you used to turn on to the old drag strip, but they no longer do that. They've got their own straightaway for the road races.
Scotty B. White leads the first lap. Edward Zabinski right behind him. As they flash across the line, Cindy Lux with a great start. She has moved up to third. Lux in the number 78, the Viper, as you watch the rest of the battle stream down into turn one. Problem for the Porsche, the 0-1.
That was the car we saw off the racetrack down in turn 4. He was off wide, so I don't know if he's cut a tire or what problem he has.
Jeff Amos, obviously some type of problem, not up to speed, but he stays out on the track, Dorsey. I find that interesting. He's well off song, but he stays on track. You see the cars streaming through.
Well, it looks like he's trying to assess whatever problem he has and feel it out, whether instead of giving up and coming into the pits right away.
Good battle for 4th and 5th right here. The black and yellow number 37 right behind him. The other Viper, the number 98. Jim Lynch trying to take the battle forward.
Of course, Lance Knupp there in the Corvette right in front of him, the 37. Got a good run off the corner.
This is a good battle between Corvette and Viper. The Viper is supposed to have the torque and the horsepower, but right now, Corvette seeming to hold its own.
Well, I'll tell you, that torque and horsepower could be your enemy when the tires are cold and the racetrack is slippery, particularly since the Corvette, with its independent suspension, has very good traction.
Back on board with McGinley, running 10th right now, trying to chase down Aquilante in front of him. And right in front of Aquilante is John Heinrichsey. Heinrichsey, 5 consecutive T1 championships, did not qualify as well as he had hoped. Well back in 8th, but he wants to move forward. Good battle here as well.
Of course, times are changing. Like we said, these Vipers are very potent, and that Ferrari, pretty much unknown, just came into the series this year. I like the odds for the Ferrari.
Mike McGinley in that blue number 50 Corvette, giving us some great shots from on board. Watch the battle stream by all around Heartland Park. There goes McGinley right there in that beautiful blue Corvette.
You see that kink there wasn't in the straightaway before. They call it alpha. It's not really a numbered turn. This is turn 1 you're looking at as they enter it, and it's much wider than it used to be. You can race side by side into turn 1 before. Forget about it.
Phil Croyle in the yellow Corvette right behind McGinley, and then the yellow Corvette in front is the number 35 or number 32 of Andrew Aquilante. I should say, lots of yellow Corvettes out there. You look out the back. Looks like he's beginning to get some oil on the lens of that camera. There it is, comes back into focus. We're doing good. So is Touring 1 from Heartland Park. The 43rd running of the SCCA National Championships. Don't miss a lap.
Robert Robbins still enjoys coming to the SCCA Runoffs. In 1972, he was here to try and win the championship. Now he's working on his son's cars. Jeff, I got to ask you, your father instilled in you a love for this sport.
Absolutely. It's been since I was 5 years old. I've been around racing and just really love it.
You're going from amateur to pro racing next year.
We're trying to do some World Challenge next year, yes.
But what is at hand is taking this beautiful blue number 18 to the podium and a victory.
And that's what the SCCA is all about. Families coming together to race, and that's great to see. His dad's still involved, and I'm sure Jeff loving to have his dad around and sharing that with him right now. Jeff Robbins out on the racetracks. 1 win this year, 6 top 3s.
Beautiful car, Brian, and he's running in 4th place, which is not shabby at all.
Oh, you can't complain about that. Certainly when you look at the depth of this field, a lot of champions out there right now. He finished 2nd in the Central Division. So nothing to be ashamed about at all. You see the 37 of Lance Knupp right behind him, trying to bring his Corvette forward, but he's going to have to get past Robbins' Viper if he does that.
Now, if this racetrack gets slippery because of the weather changing, the cold air coming in, I think these Corvettes are going to have a better chance at being able to outrun the Vipers because of the independent suspension and the amount of traction they have, mechanical grip.
Lance Knupp holding on to that 5th spot. Now, Dorsey, the sun has been bright today, even though the air temperature has been cool. Track temperature will stay up for a while, will it not?
It'll stay up for a while, particularly since the sun is still, in fact, out. But I think it will get slippery as we go into the depths of this race.
Good battle here for 7th place. That is the number 7 of Chris Engel. That white Corvette being chased right now by the 32 of Andrew Aquilante. Engel, another Corvette versus Viper battle.
Oh, overheating.
Oh, right
the
there.
Viper, you see all the steam?
All of a sudden.
He's spun in it. Oh, whatever's leaking, something just broke there. That was steam I saw coming out of the top. Look at it. He's lost a hose.
Think a radiator hose, perhaps?
Something on that car is burst, and that's what he's spun in. Now that corner's going to be real slippery next time.
Problems for Andrew Aquilante. You see it develops almost instantly.
Watch by the windshield. Watch up here by the windshield. That little area right there where you see the steam coming out. That's a hose that's burst or a head gasket or something underneath the hood, and it was venting up through there before he spun in the fluid.
So problems for Andrew Aquilante. He will try to limp back to pit lane, but his hopes of a national championship are gone. Look at his father right there standing. He's got radio communication, I'm sure, with Andrew, and he knows that their hopes have been dashed.
Yep, something amiss there, because certainly it's too cold out to be overheating. Here's a good battle going on right now. The 6 involved with the 50.
Great battle right there. Phil Croyle in the yellow Corvette just in front of the 50 of McGinley. And look out the back of McGinley. He's being pressured really hard by the Viper right behind him.
And this is for 9th place. 4 cars fighting hard for 9th overall.
It's David Pinteric in that Viper right behind Michael McGinley in the blue number 50, the Corvette. Another good shot off the back. Look at him. Pinteric bringing that Viper right up to the back end of McGinley's Corvette, looking for a way around, coming into turn 5.
And they're going to head right up there where that radiator burst or whatever that was that we saw happen to Aquilante's car. We'll have to see how slippery it might be.
Phil Croyle still holding on in front of them to the 9th position, but oh, look at the move. Pinteric, great move around McGinley to take the position there. We'll see if he can hold on to it. McGinley trying to come back.
And now up the straightaway into what we call the bus stop. It's one of the tightest corners up here. A lot of trouble. That's where the radiator or whatever happened was right in this area.
Well, the good thing is if it were water, or if it was water, it's not, I mean, it was steam. There was a lot of steam. So if it was water, that's going to evaporate relatively quickly. If it was oil, that would be a problem for many laps to come.
It was definitely vapor, so it was water or antifreeze, coolant of some sort for sure.
Do they allow them to run antifreeze in the car, or do they have to run a straight water? I know.
I think the other night it was 29. They better have some antifreeze.
Looking right now at 50, Michael McGinley, but now on board the 05, Scott Tucker in his Ferrari 360. Takes you for a lap around Heartland Park, the 43rd running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. It's the battle for Touring 1 right now. We'll be back with more action from Heartland Park. 43rd running of the SCCA National Championship from Heartland Park, Topeka. Touring 1 action on track right now. Scotty B. White continues to lead. Just one of many great races over the course of the weekend here at the National Championship Runoffs. Good Touring 1 action happening all around the racetrack, and we've got some great onboard shots for you as well.
Oh.
One right there.
We're off the racetrack.
That's Mike McGinley. He had been running in 11th and having some great battles. It seems to have gotten the best of it off the track up in turn 5, losing positions right now. That was the number 28 that just snuck by. Jorge Nazario sneaks by, but McGinley coming back doesn't want to give up the position. Obviously a miscue there at the top of the hill though, Dorsey.
Yeah, McGinley got in there too hot. Now we've got another car with a good draft running down the back straight.
McGinley manages to hold his position, but a big battle behind him right there.
Take a look here what happens to McGinley in his Corvette. Just gets in with too much speed. Look, you see he's fighting pretty hard there. Look at the front tires, opposite lock. Great save job, but it was just running out of room.
And that's that high-speed turn 4, the right-hand kink that they're going around into a heavy braking zone. McGinley does a good job, like you said, Dorsey, to save it. But a big bump right there. Now the battle for second. Ed Zabinski in his Ferrari, that beautiful red Ferrari 360, under attack by Cindy Lux. She is really putting the pressure on him right now. Lux has her 4th North Pacific Division Championship in hand this year. She won the June Sprints. She is looking for the Triple Crown. Only 9 drivers have done it since the inception of the Triple Crown. That is winning your division, winning the June Sprints, and winning the runoffs. Lux really putting pressure on Zabinski. Biz, what do you have on that Ferrari?
Well, I talked to Ed quite a bit before the race, and one advantage he has is that he's using the Ferrari Formula One type shifter paddles in that car. That means he can keep his pedal, the gas pedal, all the way to the floor and never lift it while he's doing the shift. The shifts take they go so fast, much faster than a human being could ever do it, that the engine just misfires for just a millionth of a second, and he's in another gear. You just saw that on this front straightaway. The Dodge was eating the Ferrari up the straightaway. They both shifted at the same time, and the Ferrari pulled away from it. That's going to be an advantage throughout the whole race, guys.
Yeah, but the torque of the Viper is a huge advantage, and Cindy Lux just motored past Edward Zabinski, and it was torque and horsepower that got the job done, Dorsey.
Absolutely. And Cindy Lux, I mean, a pretty young lady inside this car, and it's a muscle car. It's a big old heavy car, doing a great job of manhandling, if you want to call it that, this machine.
She would be the first female to ever win the Triple Crown if she can hold on and do that. But she's got her work cut out for her, because she's going to have to pick up 6 seconds and catch up with her teammate, Scotty B. White, who leads currently. And you know, Scotty White is not going to pull over and let Cindy Lux by. She beat him at the June sprints. They're teammates, but he's not going to hand it to her, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Of course, we've seen Scotty B. White in the Pro Series, and we know how good a driver he is. And Cindy Lux, of course, a great driver herself. By beating him at that race.
Zabinski now looks to be coming under attack by Jeffrey Robbins. Robbins really beginning to put the pressure on in his Viper.
That was just dropping a wheel off right there. Turn 1 has been slippery all day because of people dropping wheels and tearing the dirt up. Good run down the inside for the brake zone, not quite enough.
Into turn 3, difficult to get through there. Oh, little Robbins, Zabinski getting it from the back right there. Robbins really rubbing on the back of that Ferrari and rubs his way right on by.
Yeah, he did. He loosened him up. You saw the rubbing on the back end in the brake zone, which means you're not going to get stopped as quickly as you would.
Now lancing up the inside. He gets past Zabinski. I think Zabinski has a problem. I don't know, perhaps tires are going away, or perhaps that sophisticated shifting mechanism inside that Ferrari is not working as well as he would like. Take a look.
Wow, this was the replay of when the pass happens. You see right at the apex, he starts getting loosened up. And good job of not spinning, but I'd be a little hot under the collar if that happened.
You a little upset?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'd tear up the paint on my Ferrari going back.
That could be the other problem right there. It's not a cheap car that we're talking about here.
500 fast cash. Well, you need some if you're going to race one of those. But it is a beautiful car. It sounds beautiful, and obviously it's very quick. But I think Zabinski has an issue, Dorsey. He's dropping like a stone.
He could. We'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. These paddle shifter. This car here is dog walking. There's a tire going down on the 98. I think the right rear tire is going flat. If you saw that front view, the back of the car is moving around, not in conjunction with the front.
Yeah,
something is either broke at the rear suspension, or he's going to have a flat tire in a minute.
Jim Lynch has a serious issue. It's like you said, not straight at all. The 35, John Heinrichsey, right behind him, 5-time national champion in this class. Heinrichsey looking to pick up another position.
I think John Heinrichsey will be able to have seen that by now. Look at that thing. It's completely not right at all.
Something is definitely askew in the back of that car, but T1 continues to battle all around Heartland Park, the 43rd running of the SCCA National Championship. Stay with it. The SCCA National Championship runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, Touring 1. Doing battle right now on track. Scotty B. White has the point. He's got the lead, qualified on the pole, and has never looked back. A little excitement at the start, but he got out and stayed clean of the problems behind him, and now leads about 8 seconds in hand over teammate Cindy Lux. And for now, anyway, a problem-free run for Scotty B. White.
But not for the 98, Brian. There's something, I don't know what it is yet, but there's something at the back of that Viper that is not right. Look as it comes straight at you. It's the back of the car is not in line with the front.
It's not tracking straight at all, and it's amazing that he's able to keep the lap times as quick as they are. Jim Lynch behind the wheel of that silver Viper, but Heinrichsey looking for a way by.
I hope that's just not an optical delusion.
An optical delusion and a problem. That is our leader, Scotty B. White, comes to pit road. Mike Johnson.
Well, yeah, right during that break, the crew started jumping over the wall and getting all excited. I said, which car is it? It's Scotty White. They don't know what's going on. The handling went away. They're trying to jack the car up. They got all 4 tires out because I don't think the crew knows which one it is yet. But the back end was moving all over the place.
Right rear is flat.
Yeah, no, the left rear, left rear here, right here is gone. So they're actually changing the right rear right now. Now, these cars are just not set up for quick changes. When you do a stop, You know, this is a sprint race. These guys aren't set up to do a quick tire change. They don't have the long lugs. In fact, these Vipers have 6 lugs on the wheels, so it just takes that much longer.
Why
would you change the right rear when you can see that the left rear is the one that's flat? I just don't get this at all.
They could have changed but one tire and gotten Scotty B. White back on track. Meanwhile, his teammate, Cindy Lux, has taken over the point. Remember, she won her division. She won the June sprints. Could she become the first female to win the SCCA's coveted Triple Crown? Work continues on Scotty B. White's Viper.
Yes, she can, because this right here is the only car I think can beat her in the entire race. And these guys, I hate to say it, boys, but you botched that one.
They have messed up. Look how painfully slow this stop is taking. Remember, they don't do pit stops in SCCA National Racing Competition. There's no reason to. You come to pit road, your race is over with, and Scotty B. White knows his day is done.
Boy, that is just heartbreaking to sit there and come into the pits and nobody's ready for you. It's not the mechanic's fault, but look what this does. This gives the potential for Miss Lux here to be able to win this national championship and the Triple Crown. What an accomplishment that is.
She owns many records. She would like to own that one as being the first female to win it, but great battles here. That's the 41, Mike Pettiford. They're racing for 10th right now. 97 right behind him. That's Al Longton.
And Al Longton did, when he was trying to make that pass, he started crabbing into the corner. And what I mean by that is he starts turning in way too early, and that is the recipe for a crash at the apex.
2 Corvettes doing battle here. We talked about it being a Corvette versus Viper war for manufacturers' bragging rights. But hey, these 2 guys have some bragging rights at stake on their own, so they're going to do battle Corvette to Corvette. Pettiford right now in 10th, Longton in 11th.
Somebody off the road up here in turn 1 up in front of these 2 that are battling. You see all the dust and smoke from the car.
Oh, big
Another
slide
Corvette
on the way off the corner for Pettiford. The other thing you saw is when he made that right-hand turn into turn 1, you saw the sun glaring right down in your eyes.
Yeah, and I knew that was going to happen when we started this race, that the sun was going to become a prominent factor in visibility getting into these corners.
There's a look at Cindy Lux, your leader in Touring 1. Can she hold on, win her first SCCA National Championship in that coveted Triple Crown? We'll find out. Lux, Nupp, Robbins, that's your top 3. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Touring 1, the green flag waves. And we are racing in Heartland Park. Scotty B. White and his very potent Viper leads down to the line, but on board with Mike McGinley. Is that some excitement or what? It's busy out there. And then a problem for the 32, Andrew Aquilante.
And that's a fluid leak. You see the mist coming out up by the windscreen, and that means he's dumped all of his fluid on the rear tires.
Day over for him. On board, Michael McGinley. Through the very quick turn 4. Take a look from outside.
Great job, just ran out of room.
McGinley back on track, but that off-course excursion cost him dearly. Then up front, Cindy Lux taking the battle to Ed Zabinski in the Ferrari. Lux picks up the position. And then the 18, Robbins.
Roughs up Zabinski, roughs up the back of the Ferrari, gets position on the inside. And we've seen the Ferrari fading ever since. And now, Scotty B. White, our leader, comes in, flat left rear tire, and unfortunately the crew goes to the wrong side.
Well, you told him it was the right rear. Scotty B. White sits dejected in his car. They get the tires changed. He's back on track, but he is out of the championship hunt. And that is your story so far through 11 laps of competition in Touring 1 at the SCCA National Championships.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how many laps he went down, or if he went down a lap. He's the fastest car on the racetrack. He's the pole sitter.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah, down here with Fred Lux, crew chief for Scotty White. He's a little winded right now. I don't think you're expecting to do a tire stop today, were you?
No, I just got the car back out there.
Now, did he tell you, I mean, you guys changed right side and left side. You just guys didn't know which tire was going down?
I think he went off, got some gravel underneath him, and he just wanted both changed. Keep one from going down the next side. You're out of it anyway, so be safe.
Right, well, now on the good side of the things, your wife, Cindy Lux, in first place going for that Triple Crown.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
I don't know how to react. I just started laughing.
No, I mean, after the flat just now, I could have another flat in the other car. There's a lot of rocks out on the course.
Well, that's what happens when you're in the last race of the day. Sun's going down, rocks coming out, and still a long way to go.
It sounded to me like there was some side deal that we don't want to talk about going on.
I was going to say, I'm glad he clarified that. She might get a wrench after him after the race. She hears that. Look at that Viper pull the right front off the ground coming through turn 1.
Yeah, you know why she's doing that? She's driving like crazy because Mr. Nupp is behind her, and he's taking a second off her time this lap. He's closing in.
Yeah, he was half a second faster the lap before that, so he is beginning to close it down. 3.8 seconds she has in hand right now, but Nupp really beginning to mount a charge. Looking a little further back down the field. Croyle in the number 6. Phil Croyle, second in the Southeast Division this year, trying to hold on to that position, but getting a lot of pressure from behind. That's Pettiford and Longton. They're bringing that battle forward, and now they've caught up with the back of Phil Croyle's beautiful yellow number 6 Corvette.
Pettiford had the best run through that series of corners, and I thought he was going to be able to get up on the inside, but not quite enough.
It's a Corvette train. There's another one in the distance, and that is Solly back there. So he's beginning to close in as well. Mike Solly in the 44. So 4 Corvettes lined up almost nose to tail, beginning to fight over that 9th spot. Really see Solly beginning to close in. He was right there on the back of Longton, so he has joined that train, and he is marching forward, Doris.
Yeah, got a whole slew of Corvettes now, a train of them, as you say. They're all equal, very equal, no question.
These guys have run like this for laps, and Solly really has been the faster car. He's been the one that's closing in. He's been about half to 3/4 of a second faster. Now, once he catches him, getting by him may be something else entirely.
Well, that's what happens. You're faster until you catch him, and here's a pass going to the inside again, a little bit early. He get double passed as a result. No.
He manages to hang on. That's Longton who gets past Pettiford. And Solly now right there behind Pettiford. He wants to find a way through as well.
Like I say, Solly was the quickest until he got to the tail end of this mess, and now he's at the same speed they are, which is a frustrating experience.
See if Mike Solly can get a good run down the front straightaway. The order will change as they come across the line. Longton has gotten past Pettiford. Can Phil Croyle begin to move forward? And the big question, can Cindy Luggs hold on to win her first SCCA National Championship? That remains to be seen. A lot of racing left.
When most people decide to go racing in the SCCA, they look at all the different classes the SCCA has to offer. But what Joe Gaudette did is he just looked right into his garage where he found this beautiful red Corvette Z06. How'd you make the transition to decide to drive your street car?
Yeah, I just decided one day after doing a lot of driving events that I was going to go racing with the SCCA. I caged the car and brought it up to T1 specs, and decided I was going to dive right in head first.
Now, over the course of the year, you had to get to the runoffs, this being your rookie year. What'd you do to actually save some money so you can make it this far?
I've run on a lot of used parts. I buy used tires, especially from competitors that race against me. I also work a little bit of overtime with my job. I wouldn't change anything I've done this year for the world. It's been a heck of a ride, and I'm just glad to be here.
Back on track, you're watching Joseph Gaudette right now, circulating around. It's great to be able to race the way that he's racing.
That is a huge commitment for a man to make, to take your street car, which is a very expensive street car at that, and then convert it to a race car, knowing that you can full and well lose the whole package.
Yeah, I've always said, if you want to go showroom stock racing or touring car racing in T1, T2, T3, you need to be willing to say, I can wad this up into a little ball and leave it at the garbage can at the racetrack, because you have to face those realities. But right now, he's doing a great job.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Like I say, it's a huge commitment for a person to make, because those bad things do happen in racing.
And it's got to stay in the back of your mind when you're mixing it up out there as well, going, hey, this thing needs to stay in one piece.
Of course, we used to drive our race cars from home to the racetrack and then race them and drive them back sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. Cindy Luggs continues to lead Touring 1 here from the 43rd SCCA National Championship runoffs in the T1 class. Good battles all around the racetrack right now. There's a look at Ed Zabinski. He'd qualified on the front row. He's dropped back to 4th. It just doesn't seem to have the pace. The car has kind of gone away from it a little bit. The leader's about 1.5, almost 2 seconds a lap faster than Zabinski right now. So something not quite right with that Ferrari.
Well, I don't know about that. You saw the Viper back in the picture again. I don't know I think that was an optical illusion with that back end of that car being sideways, but because he's sliding around. That was him coming on the straightaway.
Still moving around. John Heinrichsey there as well in the 35, the yellow Corvette, trying to work his way forward, only up to 5th, and that's got to be frustrating. I know he would like to take his 10th national championship.
Yellow flag up here, Brian. I don't know what's gone on, but I just saw one of the stations yellow, and this car's starting to smoke on downshifts. Our leader, Cindy Lux, I saw it, and I've seen it a couple times now.
A little puff of smoke. Let's take a look and see if we see it down here. She's on the brakes hard, car twitching around a little bit. Look at it pulling the right front off.
Yeah, it's great. See a little bit? Well, that could be just dust. Turn 1's really dirty after all these races today.
Doing a good job. About 2 seconds in hand. And in case you were wondering, the last woman to win an SCCA National Championship was Andrea Kasowitz in 1996 in Sports 2000. So Cindy Lux. That's been 10 years. Hey, that's a decade. Hey.
And again, I mean, this is a big old heavy American iron muscle car V10. And she's just manhandling the heck out of it and running these guys into the ground.
Right now, though, about half a second a lap faster, but he's running out of time. Only about 2.5 laps left. And if my math is correct, that's going to put him within a second of her, but a second doesn't get you the win.
No, Lance Knupp is eating away at the time deficit, but there's not much time. We got 2.5 laps.
John, what do you have from pit lane?
Well, we have Kurt Omensetter, who's the crew chief for that beautiful 37 car. He's ringing her in at about 0.6 of a second.
Yes, that's correct. These Hoosier tires are just coming into play right now.
He was not all that optimistic when he went out for this race.
Well, we got a race. That's what it comes down to.
But does he have enough laps?
Yes, he does. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close. Hopefully he can do what he does the best, and that's race the car.
I'll tell you guys, it's going to be a very close one. I think he has enough laps. I think he's going fast enough to get there.
Biz, look down the straightaway. He is there, buddy. Coming on the front straightaway, and he's only 3 car lengths or so back.
Well, you said it, Dorsey. You talked about the suspension on the Corvette being better and better on the tire wear. You see the crew watching, clicks the watch and says, yeah, we're closing. Hey, you didn't need a stopwatch to tell you that. Lance Knupp really closing ground now on Cindy Lux. Lux in danger of losing the lead, losing the Triple Crown, and losing that national championship that she so desperately wants. Can she hold on? We'll find out. The 2006 SCCA Runoffs. Lance Knupp in hot pursuit of Cindy Lux. Time counting down, only 2 laps left. Knupp finished 3rd at the SCCA National Championships last year.
Here he is.
He puts it up through the inside, right along the apex.
Now it's a drag race, Brian. Drag race, and they're rubbing down the straightaway.
Cindy Lux not to be intimidated. She says, you want by me, mister? You're going to have to work your way past. Look at the torque.
There goes the big V10, but remember, the Corvette is a handling machine, and they're going into the handling end of the race circuit.
Not one to be out-muscled either. He's not intimidated. There will be 1 lap to go when they come back past the line this next time by. Can he make the move again? Can he make it stick? And are we sure there's no danger that the tires weren't damaged on this move?
Slams it down to the apex, gets side by side, but they're going to rub tire to tire right here in the straight line. When that happens, you can knock the valve stems off the car and have flat tires.
It's a late move, but it's a clean move, Dorsey. He gets side by side. They don't touch.
No, and Cindy just left that door way too open and late. Now there's the bump I was talking about. Now we're back to live, and here we go.
Knupp has gotten past Lux. He's taken over the lead. He'll flash past the line. 17 laps in the book. 1 lap left to go. Lux about 8 car lengths back. Can she close the distance? Can she get it back? Oh, she locks up the brake.
Trouble under the brake zone, and so does he. We'll take a look here and see what happens. This is the pass.
Through the tightest section of the racetrack, just stoves it in one more time. Lux can't get to the apex.
Oh, and gets loose, gets on the throttle, and the Viper breaks loose. This is what I was afraid of late in the race.
I think the Viper is out of rear tires. Lance Knupp has the lead, and I think he has the better car underneath him right now. Cindy Lux is seeing that national championship disappear.
Track temperature has gone down, sun's going down, tires are getting slippery, and the Corvette's the better of the two with mechanical grip.
Lux finished 5th at the National Championship Runoffs last year at Mid-Ohio. She runs 2nd right now, but that will be no consolation to her. She wanted the gold medal, and she's seeing it disappear right now. Lance Knupp has it in his car, and he is driving away.
Long back straightaway, but she is too far behind. Lance Knupp has got too much of an advantage, and it's going into the tight part of the racetrack where that Corvette will have the superior advantage.
Out of the bus stop, less than half a lap away from gold. But remember, that rub down in turn 5, you see the passenger side mirror askew on Lance Knupp's Corvette. Will he have air in the tires? Will the car last to the end? Only a few more corners, but you do have to make it to the finish line.
Don't miss a shift here, buddy. Whatever you do, she's close.
Through the last 2 corners, a right and then a left. Lance Knupp will see the checkered flag in front of him. His best runoffs finish, a 3rd. That was before now. One more shift, 100 yards down the straightaway, and Lance Knupp will take the checkered flag and the championship in 2006 in T1. Congratulations all around. A lot of emotion in pit lane and a lot of emotion right there behind the wheel of that beautiful number 37 Corvette.
Well, Cindy Lux, great job. Really did a fantastic job. I think the sun going down, the track temperature, it killed her.
And I think the torque and the horsepower of that Viper may have destroyed those rear tires. She did everything she could. She's going to pull up alongside, give him a thumbs up. That was a great battle for the national championship. This is the best of the best, and you just saw one of the best battles that we have seen all weekend long. John Bisognano.
Kurt, congratulations. Everyone down here is so pleased. What did he say to you on the radio?
He just said this whole week was worth it. We worked hard with Hawk brakes, Hoosier tire, GM car just pulled it through.
Well, what about the crew? This is the best celebration we've seen in 2 days.
We've worked hard. We've been here for 13 days working on this car, up in the GM trailer. With their help, man, we just put it all together. This came out to be an awesome week.
13 days of work. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Woo!
Well, you heard him say thanks to Hawk brakes. I think the brakes got him there.
He got good brakes.
He got very good brakes. He was able to put it in there 2 passes. The last one worked. Lance Knupp takes the national championship in Touring 1. The SCCA National Championship Runoffs, the 43rd time they've been contested. Touring 1, it's over with today. Lance Knupp takes the victory, and a great battle it was. John Bisognano, look out for champagne corks.
Hey, Lance, you were telling me, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any power, I don't have any brakes, I don't have any torque. You were whining down there. What happened?
I just had to drive hard and abuse the car and get everything I could out of these awesome Hoosier tires, Hawk brakes, and great crew, and it just came together and the car worked good.
What about that pass for the lead? You were bumping all the way down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that, but I knew that once we got on the straightaway, she'd take off and be gone, so we had to get every bit we could as soon as we could and get by her.
When did you know you had her? When you took the lead after the front straight, did you know it was your race?
Yeah, her tires were going away pretty bad. She was getting into every corner a little deep, so I pretty much figured I could get down the inside of her at any corner that was a tight corner.
I'll tell you, Lance, no one celebrates like your crew. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, sir.
Very happy Lance Knupp and a very happy crew, and why wouldn't they be happy? They've taken the victory in the championship in T1. A great battle with Cindy Lux. John Heinrichsey, the first time he has not won a national championship at the runoff since 2000. He gets shut out.
Of course, there's pole sitter Scotty B. White with the flat tire comes in 17th. A shame for him.
Good job by Mike Solly to finish 11th, and there's the last page of results. We saw the problem for Andrew Aquilante early on.
Of course, that was an overheating or a hose issue of some sort.
The celebration begins. Lance Knupp will take the victory lap, the traditional victory lap around, and while he does that, let's check down with Mike Johnson.
Cindy, you were 1 lap away from that Triple Crown, but tell us about that run down the back straight, holding them off door to door.
You know, it was a good race. The car was just phenomenal the whole race, and started getting greedy towards the end a little bit and just kind of used things up. So, unfortunately, we had a little brake issue there towards the end, and you know, we just tried as hard as we could, but it's got very disappointing, very disappointing. But it was a good race.
Well, we want to know about when you were holding them off the first time, what that was like, that battle, because he got a good run against you, and you said, you know what, you're not getting by me.
No, not to the runoffs, man. It's the gloves are off basically, and now we just need to stick it in. And I'm telling you one thing, these Vipers, I'm not telling you, they stick like glue, especially those Kumos. But it was a good race.
All right, well, she drove the wheels off it, trying to get that Triple Crown, but just was one lap short today.
Well, she literally drove the wheels off of it. And Dorsey, I know she's disappointed, but I mean, how disappointed can you be? She's had a great season and a great race here.
How can you be disappointed? I mean, you beat John Heinrich, so he's a 5-time champion. He's a pro driver. I mean, you beat Scotty B. White, who's a pro driver. Of course, that was a different story, but she did a great job. Can't be upset.
She won her division. She won the June sprint. She comes up just short at the national championship. And you know what? There's always next year. And I got a feeling we will see her back here. The SCCA National Championships. The racing doesn't get any better, any more grassroots than this. I love it. For Mike Johnson, Don Bizignano, Dorsey Schrader, I'm Brian Till. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you catch all of the SCCA Runoff shows right here on Speed. So long, everybody.